All right, let's dive straight into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a pretty fascinating piece of devotional text called The Word as a Wall of Fire. You know, if you have ever felt completely overwhelmed by the daily mental grind, this text actually reads like an epic step-by-step guide to spiritual defense. We're going to break down exactly how this source material outlines a real strategy for protecting your mind. It's a super compelling question, right? How do you build an invisible wall of fire? The text uses this vivid, intense imagery to describe building an actual, invisible shield to protect yourself from unseen dangers. We're going to explore the mechanics of this defense system, what it's actually protecting you from, and the specific tools the author says you're going to need to construct it. Section 1. The Invisible Mind Battle. Defending your thoughts.
Now, to really understand the defense, we first have to understand the attack. The devotional warns us about a mastermind villain who is constantly attacking human minds. It says we can actually be defeated by sophistry and enchantments. But hold on, what exactly does an enchantment mean in this context? Are we talking about literal magic here?
Well, no. The crucial point here is that these aren't, magic spells with wands. According to the author, sophistry and enchantments are the subtle arts and mind tricks used to influence and ensnare human minds. So we're talking about tricky, deceptive ideas, false logic, and these incredibly subtle manipulations that are just meant to pull your thoughts away from what is objectively true. It's portrayed as a highly sophisticated, intellectual kind of deception. And the source material doesn't just warn you about this, it gives you an immediate action plan if you do fall into the trap. If you find yourself caught in these mind tricks or ensnared by this enchanting power, the source emphatically instructs the reader to rebuke that power in the name of Jesus and just break with Satan without delay. There's a huge sense of urgency here. You don't sit around and negotiate with the deception, you cut it off entirely, right then and there. Section 2. Beware the sliding sand. Avoiding the trap. Now, the author is incredibly clear that you can actually undermine your very own protective defenses. While your primary tool is the Bible, there's a massive danger in how you go about using it. If you're just picking and choosing small, detached portions of the text while completely ignoring the rest, or if you depreciate even one single written word, your footing becomes completely unstable. The text uses this great metaphor of standing on sliding sand. Failing to believe the whole truth, essentially cherry-picking exactly what you want to hear, well, that just leaves you completely vulnerable to those mental enchantments we were just talking about. Section 3. A voice from heaven. A divine communication. So how do we actually escape that sliding sand? Well, the devotional explains that reading the scriptures isn't just some boring academic exercise. It should fill you with absolute awe. The text says the Bible is a divine communication, and you should treat it exactly as if a literal voice from heaven is speaking directly to you, like a message straight to your soul. If you approach it with that kind of reverence, rather than just casually flipping through pages, you unlock its actual power to stay safe from temptation. It totally reframes the text from just being a simple book into an active, living communication straight from heaven. And this brilliantly illustrates the core strategy of the entire devotional. The author quotes Psalm 119, verse 11, "Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee." Think about that. You don't just read the words on a page, you internalize them. You literally hide them deep inside your heart and mind. By doing this, the words themselves become the actual mechanism that keeps you safe from temptation and those really tricky mental enchantments. Section 4. Your wall of fire. Building your ultimate defense. Okay, so according to the text, building this invisible wall requires 4 distinct steps. First, receive the whole Bible. Remember, no sliding sand, no cherry picking allowed. Next, come to the study in humility. Then, pray earnestly for guidance. And finally, cherish the precepts of truth. The source material argues that if you follow these 4 specific steps, the very truths that you've hidden in your heart will transform into a literal wall of fire entirely around you, protecting you against Satan's delusions. Section 5. Angels on your side, spiritual backup. Now, here's the best part. You aren't building this wall alone. The text introduces these incredibly powerful spiritual forces. We see a clear comparison of exactly how the text visualizes this conflict. On one side, you've got evil angels, and they aren't portrayed as cartoonish monsters with horns. No, they are subtly tricky, wicked-faced figures using their sheer intellect to ensnare you. But then, on the other side, you have good angels. And what's their crucial role here? The text emphasizes that when you pray earnestly, these good angels actually step in to help you understand the devotional material. They respond directly to your prayers, opening up the living realities of the Bible just for you. They are your active partners in building that wall of fire. The entire purpose of this wall of fire, the awe-inspiring reading of the text, and the active help of the good angels all point to one ultimate powerful goal. It quotes Ephesians chapter 6, to withstand in the evil day. The preparation happens right now. That way, when tough, complex temptations and deceptions inevitably show up at your door, you aren't caught off guard. You already have the internal fortitude and an impenetrable spiritual shield to stand absolutely firm and not be moved. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Based on this strategy, what specific truths could you learn and internalize today that might act as your very own invisible shield tomorrow? Which words are you going to hide in your heart today to start building your wall of fire? It's a seriously powerful concept to reflect on. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.